Hello and welcome to Die Rollin. I'm the ever-excitable Adam, and today I'm unboxing Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, the Chishiro the Shattered Blade Commander box. So we're going to take a look. So this guy, when Chishiro's troops were ambushed, he lost everything. His friends, his blade, and his bond with his kami. Now, Chishiro travels the land in search of the scattered pieces of his broken blade. As he helps people along the way, he feels his connection to the world and his old kami beginning to heal. So we got a 100-card deck with 15 new cards, a deck box, 10 double-sided token cards, plus foil-etched display commander, life wheel, strategy insert, and a reference card. So let's get into it. Tearing straight into that, and let's see what you get inside this box. Wow, okay, so, I guess this is the actual, is that the commander himself? We've got some tokens here. On the side we can pop these out, and we've got this as well. We can kind of pop this out. Not quite sure why I'm popping this out, but, you know, it looks like you can pop it out, so. Well, nothing on the other side. Not quite sure about that, but hey. Right, so here is our box full of goodies. This is everything you're getting here. There's the deck box itself. Let's start off with, well, we've got a little kind of divider in there. We have got, let's take a look. So we've got a little poster in here. Bit of artwork about your guy. It tells you a bit more about Chishiro himself. And then some advice about playing the deck and the commander rules. We have our life wheel here. That's pretty good. Right, let's take a look through these cards. So our first card is Chishiro the Shattered Blade. And he's both fire mana and tree mana or earth mana. It's a really nice card, and this is very thick. It's not like the other kind of cards you normally get with these. You couldn't shuffle this, for instance. This is like a really weighty one. So, legendary creature, a snake samurai. Whenever an aura or equipment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 red spirit creature token with menace. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each modified creature you control. Equipment, auras you control, and counters are modifications. He's got 4 attack and 4 defense. Well, 4 attack and 4 health. And yeah, really nice artwork on there. Cool. Okay, so the next card I have is Treasure. Token Artifact Treasure. Sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana over any color. And on the other side, we have Smoke Blessing. Token Enchantment. Aura. Enchant creature. When enchanted creature dies, it deals 1 damage to its controller, and you create a treasure token. And then we have a goblin. And a smoke blessing again. An elemental. And a spirit. Menaces creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Another smoke blessing. Another spirit. We have a beast, treasure, spirit, treasure, plant, treasure, sapling, spirit, 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 and then a Phyrexian germ and a spirit. So they're all our token kind of creatures there, which we can summon. And then we've got our deck of cards here itself, with another Chishiro the Shattered Blade in there, which I imagine is going to be a regular card as opposed to the quite thick cardboard card we have there. Okay, so let's go through this. So our first card is Chishiro the Shattered Blade, and it's identical apart from the fact that this is an actual proper card here, and it's got a really nice kind of foil foil effect on there. Okay, cool. Then we have Kaima, the Fractured Calm. Legendary creature spirit. Beginning of your end step, goad each creature your opponents control that enchanted by an aura you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on Kami, the Fractured Calm, for each creature goaded this way. Until next turn, the goaded creatures attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. Well, we have a pretty handy kind of player aid card here, which is pretty good. And then we have our deck itself. So let's start from the top here. So we have an Aki Battle Squad. Goblin Samurai. Whenever one or more modified creatures you control attack, untap all modified creatures you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. This ability triggers only once each turn. Equipment auras you control encounters are modifications. 6/6. We have the Collision of Realms. Sorcery. Each player shuffles all creatures they own into their library. Each player who shuffles a non-token creature into their library this way reveals cards from the top of the library until they reveal a creature card. Then put that card onto the battlefield and the rest of the bottom of their library in a random order. We have the Kami of Celebration. Whenever a modified creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. We have Komeinu Battle Armor. Equipment Dog. Menace. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has Menace. Whenever Komeinu Battle Armor or equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, goad each creature that player controls. Reconfigure 4. 4 attached to a target creature you control or unattached from a creature. Reconfigure only as a sorcery. While attached, this isn't a creature. With the Smoke Spirit's Aid, for each of up to X target creatures, create a red aura enchantment token named Smoke Blessing attached to that creature. Those tokens have enchant creature, and when enchanted creature dies, it deals 1 damage to its controller, and you create a treasure token. We have Unquenchable Fury. Enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature attacks, it deals X damage to defending player, where X is the number of cards in the hand. When Unquenchable Fury is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return it to your hand. Ascendant Acolyte. Human Monk. Ascendant Acolyte enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each +1/+1 counter among other creatures you control. Beginning of your upkeep, double the number of +1/+1 counters on Ascendant Acolyte. Limits exist solely to test the will. Concord with the Kami. The beginning of your end step, choose 1 or more. Put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature with a counter on it. Draw a card if you control an enchanted creature. Create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token if you control an equipped creature. Kosi, the Penitent Warlord. Legendary creature, Ogre Samurai. As long as Kosi, Penitent Warlord, is enchanted, equipped, and has a counter on it, Kosi has, whenever Kosi, Penitent Warlord deals combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards, and Kosi deals damage to each other opponent. One with a Kami. Flash, enchantment creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature or another modified creature you control dies, create X 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens, where X is that creature's power. A Rampant Rejuvenator. Rampant Rejuvenator enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. When Rampant Rejuvenator dies, search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is Rampant Rejuvenator's power, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Silk Guard. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to X target creatures you control. Auras, equipment, and modified creature you control gain hexproof until end of your turn. We have the Tanuki Transplanter. Whenever Tanuki Transplanter or equipped creature attacks, add an amount of forest equal to its power. Until end of turn, you don't lose the mana as steps and phases end. Reconfigure 3. 3 attached to a target creature you control or an attached from a creature, reconfigure only as a sorcery, while attaches isn't a creature. Agitator Ant. At the beginning of your end step, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. Goad each creature that had controls put on it this way. Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. We train for the improbable, like lightning striking the same place twice or striking everywhere at once. Chaos Warp. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. Elemental Mastery. Enchanted Creature. Enchanted Creature has tap creature X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste, where X is the creature's power. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Goblin Raise Runners. For 1 fire, sacrifice a land, put a +1/+1 counter on Goblin Raise Runners. At the beginning of your end step, you may have Goblin Raise Runners deal damage equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it to target player or planeswalker. Finding an unexplored world, they immediately set it on fire. We have Krenko, the Tin Street Kingpin. Legendary creature here. Whenever Krenko, the Tin Street Kingpin attaches, put a +1/+ counter on it. Will then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. After the people flee, but before the enemy arrives, that's grabbing time. We have the Ox of Agonis. When Ox of Agonis enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. Escape fire, exile 8 other cards from your graveyard. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. Ox of Agonis escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it. Shifting Shadow. Enchanted creature has haste, and at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy this creature. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield and attach Shifting Shadow to it. Then put all other cards revealed this way to the bottom of your library in a random order. Starstorm. Starstorm deals X damage to each creature, cycling 3. Discard this card, draw a card. Ever since the disaster, the city survivors viewed the star-strewn sky with dread. Taurian Mauler. Chanine. This card is every creature type. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Taurian Mauler. The power of a waterfall, the fury of an avalanche, the intellect of a gale force wind. Bear Umbra. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has, whenever this creature attacks, untap all lands you control. Totem Armor. Champion of Lamholt. Human warrior here. Creatures with power less than Champion of Lamholt's power can't block creatures you control. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of Lamholt. So that's pretty handy. I mean, they're all pretty handy using the right circumstance. Forgotten Ancient. Whenever a player casts a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Forgotten Ancient. Beginning of your upkeep, you may move any number of +1/+1 counters from Forgotten Ancient onto other creatures. Its blood is life, its body is growth. We have a Genesis Hydra. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then shuffle the rest into your library. Genesis Hydra enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Primeval Protector. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature your opponent controls. When Primeval Protector enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. The earth shook in support of their cause, offering a champion of its own. 10/10. Ooh. Rishka, Pima Renegade. When Rishka Pima Renegade enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Each creature you control with a encounter on it has tap, add forest. Aether is the soul of Kaladesh, and all souls should be free. And then we have Rishka's Expertise. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. You may cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Control the Great Conduit. You might as well try to divert a river with your hands. We have a Shamanic Revelation. Draw a card for each creature you control. Ferocious, you gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. First Whispers of Ancient Days, then Visions of Things to Come. Soul's Majesty. Draw cards equal to the power of target creature you control. An avatar he sculpts of wisdom and strength. Spearbreaker Behemoth. Indestructible. 1. Target creature with power 5 or greater gains indestructible until end of turn. Weesh. Few Naeans dare hunt the gargantuans. They're regarded not as animals but as forces of nature, like landslides or typhoons. We have a Whiptongue Hydra. Reach. When Whiptongue Hydra enters the battlefield, destroy all creatures with flying. Put a +1/+1 counter on Whipton Hydra for each creature destroyed this way. Where'd all the birds go? Kaldrin, Jungle Sightseer. Decimate. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, and target land. Anarchy comes in many forms: social, individual, Gruul. Ulashed, the Hate Seed. Ulashed the Hate Seed enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other red creature you control, and a +1/+1 counter on it for each other green creature you control. For one, remove a +1/+1 counter from Ulatesh. Choose one. Ulatesh deals 1 damage to target creature, or create a +1/+1 green Saproling creature token. We have Blackblade Reforged. Equip creature gets a +1/+1 for each land you control. Equip legendary creature of 3, equip 7. It spilled the blood of one elder dragon. In Gideon's hands, it may yet taste another's. We have the Bone Horde. Living weapon. When this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 black Phyrexian germ creature token, then attach this to it. Equip creature gets +X/+X, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. Equip 2. The Sword of Vengeance. Equip creature gets +2/+0 and has first strike, vigilance, trample, and haste. Equip 3. When wielded by a true believer, it matters little whether the sword is a relic or a replica. We have Cindergate. So we're on to the lands now. Mountain Forest. Cinderglade enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. On the volcanic continent of Akum, bizarre vegetation clusters around gas vents and jagged mountain peaks rise high into the air. Exotic Orchard. Add 1 mana of any colour that a land an opponent controls could produce. It was a strange morning. When we awoke, we found our trees transformed. We didn't know whether to water them or polish them. Pulan, Bant, Orchardist. Game Trail. Land. As Game Trail enters the battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or forest card from your hand. If you don't, Game Trail enters the battlefield tapped. Add fire or forest. We have Mossfire Valley. We've got 2 of those. Which I'm surprised at. I thought you can only ever have 1. All the cards had to be different, but maybe I'm wrong. So 1, tap, add fire or forest. Battle of Gazan paths left the land so saturated with blood and twisted kami magic that it was a century before a single blade of grass could take root. We have Oran Reef, the Vastwood. Oran Reef, the Vastwood enters the battlefield tapped. Add forest, put a +1/+1 counter on each green creature that entered the battlefield this turn. A Raging Ravine. Raging Ravine enters the battlefield tapped. Add forest. Until end of turn, Raging Ravine becomes a 3/3 red and green elemental creature with, whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's still a land. Temple of Abandon. Temple of Abandon enters the battlefield tapped. When Temple of Abandon enters the battlefield, scry 1. Add fire or forest. We have Orochi, the Merge Keeper. Add forest. As long as Orochi Merge Keeper is modified, it has tap, add forest. One day the spirit and mortal realms will be one. Until then, she faithfully guards the sites where they merge. Invigorating Hot Spring. Enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Modified creatures you control have haste. Remove a +1/+ counter from Invigorating Hot Spring. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery and only once each turn. Tawashi Guidebot. When Tawashi Guidebot enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. For tap, draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each modified creature you control. A Walking Skyscraper. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each modified creature you control. Has trample. Walking Skyscraper has hexproof as long as it's untapped. Acidic Slime. Death Touch. When Acidic Slime enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. It fears no sword and leaves no bones behind. Beast Within. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. Monsters dwell in every heart. We only think civilization tames them. Euphemia, Nexus Watcher. We have, of course, a Fertilid. Fertilid enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. 1 forest. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Fertilid. Target player searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffles. We have Hunter's Insight. Choose target creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker this turn, draw that many cards. The Predator knows the true way of the world. Life is conflict. Only the strong survive. Garak, Wild Speaker. Kodama's Reach. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, then shuffle. The soul of Jukai reaches far beyond the forest edge. Shijiki Jukai Visionary, or Fukai. A loyal guardian. It's a rhino. Trample Lieutenant at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control your commander, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Each scar on its hide is a badge of honor. The Ordeal of Nelia. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then if it has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, sacrifice Ordeal of Nelia. When you sacrifice Ordeal of Nelia, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Rampant Growth. Search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle it. We have a Sakura Tribuilder. Sacrifice Sakura Tribuilder, search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. He'd chosen a sunlit clearing with open skies and an ample brook. All that remained was to find a worthy sapling. Snake Umbra. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 has whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. Totem Armor. Vast Wood Surge. Kicker 4. You may pay an additional 4 as you cast this spell. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. If this spell was kicked, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. We have Grumgully the Generous. Each other non-human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Does it matter what it is? Take it and be grateful. Mage Slayer. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to the player or planeswalker it's attacking, equip 3. When the wielder is strong enough, any sword will do. Crush the Blood Braided. We have the Rhythm of the Wild. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. They enter the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. Some view Domri's unlikely ascent as a sign of Ilha de Reisbor's imminent return. We have an Arcane Signet. Add 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity. It started as a mere drop of water. The magic mirror crystallised into much more. We have the Fire Shrieker. Equipped creature has double strike. It deals both first strike and regular combat damage. Equip 2 to attach a target creature you control. Equip only as a sorcery. We have the Soul Ring artifact. Tap, add 1/1. Lots of time is the Artificer's art of tapping light from a distant star in a ring of purest gold. We have Swiftfoot Boots. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Equip 1. There's a great wisdom in rushing headlong into combat if you're prepared. Kenjet, Captain of 1,000 Swords. We have a Command Tower. Add 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity. When defeat is near and guidance is scarce, all eyes look in one direction. Gruul Turf. Gruul Turf enters the battlefield tapped. When Gruul Turf enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Add Fire Earth. The Opal Palace. Add 1 of those. 1 tap, add 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity. If you spend this mana to cast your commander, it ends the battlefield with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game. Then we have a series of mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mountains. Forest, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And that is everything you get inside the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty pack for Chishiro the Shattered Blade. If you enjoy this, then please stay tuned to the channel because we will be doing a full playthrough with both this deck and also for the other deck we have, which is Katuri the Pilot Prodigy. We'll be playing myself and Jamie. Jamie's never played this game before in any format, so it'll be interesting to see how he finds coming into it as a complete noob. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this, then please like and subscribe to our various different channels. You supporting us by just giving a subscription or commenting is really, really appreciated, and it helps us drive more content that you guys enjoy watching. So you're helping us help yourself, I guess, in a way. Anyway, I've been the ever excitable Adam. You can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on YouTube. And a special shout out to Chaos Cards who gave us the review copies of both this command deck and the Kotori Pilot Prodigy command deck. You can pick this all up from their site. So yeah, go check out Chaos Cards. They're one of the best people out there. Anyway, until the next time, you guys stay safe and keep rolling.